In this lecture, we will discover the nested loop. Before, I wanted to show you something really important on the Oracle official documentation, indentation. So, as you can see, this documentation was written on April the 20th of 1999. So, nothing much has changed in 25 years. They say 4 spaces should be used as a unit of indentation. The exact construction of the indentation, spaces versus tabs, is unspecified. Tabs must be set exactly every 8 spaces, not 4. So let's jump into our nested loop. As you maybe noticed already, when you are writing a new expression in IntelliJ, I would say natively IntelliJ is making for you the indent. Look, I'm hitting the enter button and immediately, as you can see, I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So this is a really important way to write your source code because immediately, if I see those 4 spaces, I know this instruction, this piece of code is inside this block. All right? If something is at the same level, I know they are not inside each other. So line 4, I'm declaring a variable. Line 5, I'm declaring a variable. And as you can see, there is no blocks. So the two instructions, the two expressions are at the same level. But when I'm doing a for loop, what I'm going to write inside the for loop is inside the curly braces. So to know it immediately without being forced to look for the curly brace, the opening curly brace, I will see immediately that there are 4 spaces. It tells me at once I'm inside something. I'm inside the for statement. All right? And in the nested loop, as you can see, the next instruction is for loop also, and it is at the same level. So it shows you also this for loop is inside the first one. Okay, so immediately you know those syntaxes, those expressions are inside the for loop because we have 4 spaces here. Okay, one more thing about this. Line length, it's pretty important. They say avoid lines longer than 80 characters since they are not handled by many terminals and tools. All right, so don't do enormous lines. All right, it is pretty simple to understand that because it will be really harder to read it and to understand it, even for you, even if you did your own source code. Okay. Wrapping lines. When an expression will not fit on a single line, break it according to these general principles. Break after a comma, break before an operator, prefer higher level breaks to lower level breaks, etc. I believe they are showing you some examples, and I'll let you check for all the examples they are providing you in the official documentation. Anyway, let's jump into it. The nested loops, and in this case, the nested for loop. I'm doing a first loop for with all the usual expression inside it to set it. I'm opening a curly brace, and inside my first for loop, I am writing another for loop. Okay? This means, with simple words, if I want this for loop, for instance, to do, I don't know, 10 turns, this means the inner loop will be executed 10 times. Okay? One more time. I'm having a first outer loop, and inside this outer loop, I'm writing another loop. We will call it inner loop, and this inner loop will be executed. For instance, I don't know, in this case, weeks are 3, I believe. Yep, we got 3 weeks. So this for loop will be executed 3 times because it is inside a block of code that will be executed 3 times. Okay, so let's run this small example and let's understand what's happening here. So inside the console, we see this week 1, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and same for week 2, same for week 3. Okay. So first, we declared a variable of type int, whole weeks. Inside, we write the value 3. And we are declaring a variable of type int also, called it days, and writing inside it 7. I'm writing my for statement. I'm declaring a variable of type int, calling it I, because it is a local variable, as you remember now. I'm initializing to 1 because I want to do an output with week 1. I'm doing a condition, I'm writing a condition this way, since I is smaller or equal to weeks plus I, so I add 1 each turn. We are jumping into the first block because this is true. I is smaller or equal to weeks, because at this point I is 3, contains 3. So this output will happen, week plus concatenation, the value of I, so at this point this is 1. Okay. Then I'm hitting my inner loop, so I have to start a loop again. So I would say entering a new loop. I would say trapped inside a new loop. And I have to do as the first one, like the first one, so sorry, I'm declaring a variable of type j. We called it j because we cannot call it I. As you remember, we are in the same scope of I, because the scope of I started at the beginning of this curly brace and will end at the closing curly brace. So if I write I here, I will have a compilation error, okay? And by the way, if I do this, look what is saying IntelliJ, variable I is already defined in the scope. Indeed. So I got to use J. And by the way, I hope you remember now, the naming conventions of local variable is I, J, etc. I highly recommend you to check the documentation. I linked to you on the Oracle official documentation. So I'm declaring a variable of type int, calling it j. and I'm writing inside it 1. As long as j is smaller or equal days, days was declared here, and it is 7. There is 7 inside it. I will add 1 each turn, and I'm entering a new block of code, and j is smaller indeed or equal day, because j is 1, contains 1, and days contains 7. So this expression will return true. This way we will enter this block of code, and we will do this expression and make this output inside the console here. But I'm in a for loop, so there's no reason I'm going to go out of this for loop until this for loop breaks. Sorry. So I'm adding 1, and this for loop is acting as usual, and it will do 7 turns. When j will be 8, it will break, because j should be smaller or equal than 7. So at 8 it will break, and we will go to this closing curly brace, because as you remember, we were in the for loop, the first block of code of the first for loop, the outer loop. So we are hitting the closing curly brace of the outer loop. And as we were in a for loop, we are adding 1 to I and doing the test again. So I will be 2 at this point. We are doing an output here, and we are hitting one more time our inner loop, and as this variable was local, it is declared again. There's no issue with this. It is okay. So we are hitting our for loop one more time in our for loop, and we are doing pretty much the same, because j didn't change. I mean, days didn't change, so it will break when day will be 8. So the last day we will see inside the console will be 7. And we will hit one more time our closing curly brace and adding 1 to I. At this point, I will be, I believe, 3. So this condition will still be for the last time true, will return true, because I is obviously equal to weeks at this point. So we will jump one last time in our block of code, in this block of code. We will do our output. We'll hit our inner loop, and our inner loop will do day 1, day 2, day 3 until it reaches day 7. And then we will hit the closing curly brace. We will add 1 to I, so I will be 4, will contain 4, and this checks will return false, because I is, the question is I smaller or equal to weeks. The answer is no, so it's false because it is 4. And we will break the loop and the program will end. Okay, so one more time, let me show you fast what happened. I'm entering this for loop. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm hitting a for loop. The for loop is doing 7 outputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we are iterating on the first loop, the auto loop. So I is 2. We're doing this one more time, but doing this, we do this 7 times with the for loop, and one more time we go to the first outer loop and do what's inside the inner loop 7 times. Okay? So I hope you're comfortable with this. I know this is not easy, but from now you should be able slowly to handle many concepts: the declaration, the initialization, indentation, variable scope, a for loops, okay, the checks, the conditions. This is not easy, concatenation, but slowly I want you to start handling all these concepts in a small source code. If you're comfortable with this, I'll catch you in the next lecture.